Chapter 8. The planet Bleor was an Earth-type world, fourth of 7 planets around a geo-sun. It had 5 moons, none of which were large. When Machiko had read the specs on the computer in her prepping work, she had understood why Livermore Evanston had taken the time, the trouble, and the huge expense to settle and colonize this world for his own business purposes. It was an ideal world, with a nice atmosphere, a perfect axial spin, which gave it mild seasons and a terrific balance between sea and land. There were 29 Australia-sized continents distributed around the planet. Evanston had actually started his colony on only one, leaving lots of room for growth. The island continent was called, arrogantly enough, Livermore Land, with its capital city dubbed Evanstonville. When the rich man's yacht landed at the compound spaceport and Machiko stepped out onto the fresh tarmac and got a lungful of the air, any doubt of the planet's beauty and worth was immediately erased. However, she was distracted by what was waiting for them, a group of 21 people dressed in exaggerated military garb, reminiscent of the plumage sported by officers in the Napoleonic Wars. They raised rifles and fired into the air in salute to the return of their obvious leader. Evanston saluted them, smiling broadly. "A little flourish of mine I enjoy. I employ a great many people, and we often have old-fashioned reenactments of famous battles from various parts of history. Gives my security forces a chance to exercise. We have an adequately trained force of 200 people and 100 reserve. Of course, they also have other jobs and functions." Security force? You're in the middle of nowhere. Why do you need a security force? The smile became a frown. You never know. The unprepared planet is the doomed planet. He brightened. Besides, it amuses me. Warfare, after all, is a form of hunting, and recreation of battles is a valid sport. No one is hurt, much less dangerous than what people pay me for. I'm hoping to make these kinds of recreations a larger part of the entertainment here one day. Have you had any run-ins with belligerent intelligent life? No, but that doesn't mean I won't, he said sharply, momentarily showing a harsh side. He softened, allowing the charm to flow back in. Please, allow a rich man his paranoia. After all, I allow you a sidearm. He nodded down to the holster, which held an old-fashioned .38 revolver, a weapon that Machiko felt comfortable with and had requested permission to use. True, it seems to be a scary, unexpected universe. She nodded at the uniformed people. If you've got all these guns and warriors here, what do you need me for? You and the others I've employed recently are specialists, Machiko. My security forces are merely people with guns and a lot of time on their hands. You are a past master. An artist, if you will. She let it drop and watched for a moment as the military sorts marched off to a canned martial music. She was amused by this display, but mostly she was impressed by the scenery around her. This was an incredible world. She'd seen that on the way down, through the viewers. Evanston had shown them a special travelogue detailing some of the features. The usual panoply of waterfalls, crashing surf, sunsets, throbbing music, majestic mountains, jewel-like jungles, purple waves of grain, etc. Machiko always just sort of tuned these kind of things right out. You could doctor the hell out of images, and even though you could get some wonderful 3D, in-your-face special effects out of the medium, there was absolutely nothing like being there. Bleor had that pristine, rapturous glow of nature and creation and life and rock and water and pure air that the homeworld of Earth must have had at one time, before man and the alien infestation sullied it, with agriculture, industry, and his own fungoid-like growth. Even when she'd been in a spaceship, she could almost smell it. Bleor had that quality. It was a life world, and to Machiko, despite her own difficulties with that particular state of being, these were the kinds of planets to her taste. Very habitable, she said coolly, her reserve checking her enthusiasm. Rather nice piquant touch to the air, don't you think? Said Evanston, who had accompanied them down the ramp. Just on the edge of the launch pad, a large limousinoid carrier was pulling up. He gestured for them to move toward it. Like an excellent year of Beaujolais, just decanted. Attila sniffed tentatively. Smells like exhaust to me. My goodness, Machiko, your crony has an extraordinary sour frame of mind for one embarking on such an exciting adventure. Although Evanston clearly didn't like Attila, He bore the android's presence with a bluff kind of humour that Machiko appreciated. Odd rich duck that he was the kind of impresario whose language, carriage, and demeanour were at least always entertaining. "Ye have to excuse Attila. He resents anyone who enjoys life." "To the contrary, I applaud. I'd enjoy life a great deal myself, if I had one." "Please, just ignore him. He really does have a heart of gold." Is that how they make androids these days? Well, I suppose gold is a good deal cheaper now. "Sticks and stones, Mr. Evanston," the mouthy android shrugged. Okay. Actually, I say this begrudgingly, but it is quite a world, and from my stay on your ship, which I enjoyed immensely, particularly your library, I'd venture to say that the eponymous city we're about to behold will be quite something as well. Absolutely, but I warn you both, don't compare the ship to the world. The city is most explicitly not constructed along classic masculine lines. You will see Victoriana or whatnot here and there, where appropriate. However, for philosophic purposes, I've instructed the designers to dispense with most of the curlicues. Attila shrugged. "Perhaps you'll allow me to have access to your yacht occasionally?" Evanston beamed. "Certainly." "Glad to keep you interested. Considering your disapproving intellect, I seem to have captured some of your imagination." "Any warlike nature is just a program I employ when necessary. The purpose of war is to bring peace." "Ah, yes, that Chinese war philosopher said that, didn't he?" Attila seemed impressed. "Yes, as a matter of fact, Lao Tzu." "Precisely. But didn't he also say, the purpose of peace is to prepare for war?" "Only in terms of balance." "Your interpretation. Allow me mine." Evanston gestured. "Besides, this is not about war. Hunting is far more primal, elemental." "And these days exclusive," said Machiko. She gave Attila a "would you please shut up" kind of look, and the android nodded grudgingly. "Also, this world is about far more than hunting. I'm not, after all, totally bloodthirsty." The irony was rich in his voice, and Machiko's chuckle was honest. "This world is about enterprise." "Free enterprise?" said Attila, taking on an interested tone. "Well, it's certainly not free," replied Evanston. "You've got to be extremely well-heeled to come here. I suppose I'll eventually make a profit. You'll have to ask my business people about that. On second thought, don't. They've advised against it." He shook his head. "People with no vision. Still, business, hobby, whatever. It's a magnificent place, and I'm sure you'll be quite impressed with it. In fact, I'll give you the cook's tour forthwith." As soon as they arrived at the limousinoid, a man hopped out of the back seat. "Good day, Mr. Evanston," the man piped. "Welcome back. And good day, Machiko Noguchi and Attila the Hun. Welcome to our magnificent planet." "How does he know our names?" asked Machiko. "I took the liberty of subspacing the results of my quest back to my highest officers. This, my new friends, is my personal secretary and entertainment director, Willem Cordial." The man gave a brisk, self-mocking bow. "At your service. I'll be in charge of your personal needs during your stay here," said the man. "Anything you want, I'll get it. If this were a giant luxury hotel, I, Willem Cordial, would be your personal concierge." Willem Cordial was a short, slender man with blonde hair, a perfect tan and sunglasses. He wore khaki shorts and loafers shined to a glossy finish, a short-sleeved safari jacket and large-rimmed safari hat. He had a clean-scrubbed young look about him and a squeaky, obsequious voice. There was a gap between his front teeth, and a feathery caterpillar of a moustache perched precariously below his nose. "I sincerely hope that on your agenda for this day will be the bagging of some big game," said the man. Machiko could only goggle. The guy seemed more like a comic parody of a hunter than anything approaching manliness and competence. She looked over to Evanston to see if this was some kind of joke, but for all intents and purposes, Evanston was very matter-of-fact with the man. No jester here, just another unusual facet of an unusual operation. "I'm sure we'll take time for that, if time is indeed provided, Mr. Cordial," said Machiko. "However, we are here primarily to do a job, not partake of the obvious benefits of this world." "Nonsense," said Evanston. You're entitled to have a good time on your leisure hours and days, and Willem here will make sure you do. Isn't that right, Willem? Entertainment is indeed my job. Excellent, pronounced Evanston. Now, your bags will be along presently. In the meantime, we'll show you Evanstonville, and then take you to your quarters. Willem Cordial gestured to the open car door and the luxurious leather seats beyond. Please, just slide into this climate-controlled vehicle, and we will endeavour to be of whatever service we... A sudden screeching of wheels got their attention. A small, sporty car was approaching them at high speed. The low car squealed to a stop just short of the limo. Its bubble top popped, and a man jumped out of the car. He wore an expensive suit and tie, but looked dishevelled and out of sorts. As he approached, Machiko could see that he had flesh-coloured bandages on his face. My God, Brookings, what happened to you? Abner Brookings, this is Machiko Noguchi. I have indeed retrieved her, and she's in our service. Great, nice to meet you. Sorry to disturb you, Mr. Evanston. I heard you were landing. I must speak to you personally? Well, of course. I should be in my office later on in the day. I'm sorry, sir. This is a vital issue, and I must talk with you immediately. Important business? There was a wild and frightened look in his eye, and Machiko could sense that this man was not used to being frightened. Surely, if I could just have your ear for a moment... Excuse me. The two men walked back toward the car, out of earshot. The well-dressed man made a few heated gestures as he spoke in a whisper. Something's going on, said Machiko. Who is that guy? He's a prominent lawyer working on some high-level business here, said Mr. Cordial. Now then, if you'll hop into the car, we'll be all ready. Has it got anything to do with my assignment here? Said Machiko. I haven't the foggiest, really, said their host. Now, if you will get into the car... I agree totally. Machiko should know, said Attila, turning as though to walk toward the talking men. Cordial became noticeably flustered. Please, no, please cooperate. No need to rock the boat, Till, said Machiko, placing a calming hand on her android's arm. After all, we are just hired hands. The little man noticed to be relaxed. I think you'll find the vehicle very comfortable. We have a variety of music, snacks, and a full beverage bar for your needs. Attila got in first. Machiko was about to follow when she realised that Livermore Evanston was clomping back towards them. No, said the big man. Continue. I'm afraid I have to attend to something immediately, and so I'll be riding back with Mr. Brookings. Mr. Cordial, would you be so kind as to take my place in showing these folks around? Cordial positively beamed. Why, yes, sir, and I think we'll actually be able to hunt up a splendid time. Good. I will speak to you later, Noguchi, when you are comfortably situated in your quarters. The usually affable, in-control Evanston looked quite preoccupied, thought Machiko. She slid in beside Attila while Cordial spoke to a driver a minute. Wonder what's going on, said Machiko. Attila wore a puzzled, worried expression. I heard a few of the words. Well? But then Cordial was back, all smiles and goofy good cheer, and they were off on their tour, their guide yakking away.